The second-generation Subaru Forester, which appeared in 2002, did not differ radically from its predecessor. Perhaps that is why he avoided childhood illnesses. Is it true that the Forester is the most typical crossover? This is so and not so. It fits into Subaru's philosophy to make a car stand out with something special. And what is unusual about it? Yes, in general, a little. Boxer motors, frameless door windows, and a reduction gear on versions with a manual transmission, though not available with all motors. Boxer motors that lower the center of gravity are a Subaru feature. Well, for an ordinary motorist, the peculiarity of their design translates into a more complex and expensive maintenance work, not to mention repairs. All engines are petrol. In the European market at the beginning of the release, you could choose from two options: 2.0L, 125 horsepower, and 2.0-liter, 177 horsepower, turbocharged, which is a derated version of the Impreza WRX. With the first unit, the Forester is boring, especially if it is with an automatic transmission, a kind of embodiment of a pensioner's dream. Well, with the turbo, of course, everything is much more interesting at times. Later, a 2.5-liter turbo engine with 211 horsepower appeared. Subsequently increased to 230 liters. In 2006, during restyling, the engines were redesigned. A 2-liter, aspirated, added strength to 158 horses. Well, for themselves, the Japanese produced modifications with twin turbocharging with a capacity of 240 to 265 horsepower. But these versions are presented only in right-hand drive. In the North American market, the crossover was sold with the 2.5-liter engine, 165 horsepower. It should be noted that the 2.5-liter engine, which proved to be not the most reliable unit on the first Forester, was upgraded for this generation. The main problems with motors can be divided into two categories. The first is related to the oil and its quality. The oil consumption of a serviceable turbocharged unit is, according to factory tolerances, up to 800 grams per 1,000 kilometers. That is, according to the manual, at each refueling, you need to open the hood, remove the dipstick. Of course, few people do this, however, then they are surprised why, before the engine started knocking, the emergency pressure light did not light up. And why did Subaru not provide a sensor for the minimum level of engine oil? As a result, a frequent case is repair with the replacement of the cylinder block. Serviceable atmospheric units also sometimes show an appetite for oil, but not in such quantities. Well, traditionally, for instances from America, there is a chance to purchase an engine slagged with rarely changed cheap oil. The second problem is related to overheating of the motors due to a leaky radiator. In our conditions, it can leak even after the first winter. A radical solution is to replace the standard radiator with an all-metal one. Specialized services have been providing this service for a long time. Otherwise, the power units almost do not throw up troubles, unless some of the details that remind of their existence include some sensors, such as oxygen and idling, as well as an exhaust gas recirculation valve. Difficulties with winter startup were noted, and it is believed that they can be eliminated by flashing the control unit. Turbines are not at risk. If, after loading, the motor was allowed to rumble at idle for a couple of minutes, then a resource of 200,000 kilometers and above is not the limit. Well, even better if the prudent owner installed a turbo timer. And a little about fuel consumption. For a 2.0-liter atmospheric in the city/highway cycle, it is 13, 15 liters per 100, but for turbo versions with active driving, this number reaches 20 liters. Although a calm driver can fit in 15, 16 liters. The number on the speedometer, a multiple of 100,000 kilometers, means that the time has come for a large and expensive MOT. According to the regulations, it is necessary to update the timing belt with rollers. It is also desirable to install a new crankshaft oil seal, camshafts, and, in a good way, also a pump. In addition, it is mandatory to replace all oils in the transmission. As a result, the cost of such maintenance using original parts is 30 to 40,000 rubles. All-wheel drive transmission as a whole is very reliable, but, nevertheless, cases of its breakdowns, in particular differentials, are known. Some Foresters have been equipped with a limited slip differential, LSD, but the presence of this self-locking device does not improve flotation and serves to control the road. But it requires a special oil. The 4-speed automatic, in general, is quite reliable, although it is quite possible to burn it with stubborn slipping, which is traditional for crossovers. The oil level in the automatic transmission should be checked regularly, because with age, it happens that leaks appear. With incendiary Subarovsky turbo engines, a manual transmission with enviable regularity asks for clutch replacement, and it's good if flywheel wear is not detected. The chassis proved to be quite hardy, with the exception of the front stabilizer struts. On versions with adjustable rear suspension, a leaky shock absorber is an excuse to prepare money for an expensive replacement. A new one will cost about 14,000 rubles. However, you can install a regular cheap shock absorber. The electrical equipment is reliable and durable, with the exception of the failing heating of the side mirrors and seat heating. There are almost no complaints about the bodywork, although the windshield is prone to cracking, and this is more of a trend than isolated cases. And from a number of minor quibbles, it is worth highlighting complaints about the creaking back door. Well, for weak sound insulation, but this should be attributed to the all-sub-R feature. In terms of the wealth of equipment, the Forester is a very Spartan car that does not indulge in excesses of comfort. And, by the way, there is not much legroom for the rear passengers. Should I buy a used Subaru crossover? If he has a transparent past, then you can think about it, which, however, is true for most models of reputable manufacturers. Well, getting involved with the dark horse is a risky business, because in terms of the cost of spare parts, Subaru is by no means a simple, Japanese brand, which can be brought to life for about $700. Bite elbows.